forward than my normal environment. Alas, today that has not happened. So just keep toes and fingers moving as we go through this morning. So yes, thank you for the introduction, Gary. Catriona Paton's my name, Assistant Chief Constable, for a programme of work that's called Policing Together. And I'll touch on that programme in just a second, but I want to set it in the context of I've been in policing for 36 years. Most of you that have heard me speak before will know that I also follow that up with saying that I started when I was 6. I just forget to add in the teen bit. But I started policing in 1989 as a young teenager, police cadet. And in fact, one of the other stories which kind of makes me smile is that when I first met Gary and he talked about his background, I realised I used to work with his dad. So that made me feel really old. But I've been across the length and breadth of operational policing and organisation over those years, as you can imagine. And I've made no secret of the fact that the Policing Together programme and the work that I'm doing just now in that programme is a programme of activity that had it been in my gift to choose anything, I would have chosen this. Because it matters to me so much personally, and it matters so much to policing as an organisation that we get this right. And Policing Together is a division, and there's a whole range of activity that goes on there, focusing around things like mental health, reducing vulnerability, violence reduction, drug harm reduction, partnership prevention, a whole programme of activity. The work we're focusing on today, and to set the context, the Policing Together programme is also about us as an organisation becoming anti-racist and anti-discriminatory. When you think back to when Police Scotland was formed back in 2013, we still had all the requirements that are placed on public sector organisations around equality and diversity and inclusion. But despite all of that, we heard some really tough messages, both internally from our own people and those that we served, that actually illuminated we needed to do way more as it related to how some of our minoritised and racialised communities felt about policing. Because I'm sure as you really hear from Dr. Hagari, trust and legitimacy is the foundation on which policing exists. We only exist to serve the public. And therefore, when we see that trust reducing in particular aspects of our communities, then it matters to us. And so our programme, Policing Together programme, was launched. You'll be aware, I'm sure, that we currently have a public inquiry ongoing just now. It's 10 years on the 3rd of May since the death of Sheikh Bayou 10 years ago. And we have been working closely, obviously, with the public inquiry, but actually trying to understand what more we need to do as an organisation to become anti-racist and anti-discriminatory. And we say that in the context of building understanding. That's why today is so important. I'm going to touch on the purpose of the James Smart lecture, but understanding is so important, and understanding from the perspectives of other people is so important. And only when we start to connect and we show a willingness to listen and acknowledge, when we actually move into the programme of activity that we've currently got ongoing to try and follow those improvements. And so in 2023, Police Scotland was the first police service to acknowledge that we were institutionally racist and institutionally discriminatory. That in itself was a tough message to listen to, and it caused a significant reaction within our own people and across aspects of our community. But where it really mattered was a statement of fact for a great number of people who have known that, because it's their experience. It's not everyone's experience, but it's their experience, and policing should be for everyone. So the Policing Together programme that I lead is about how we become that organisation that is welcoming, that is inclusive, that is representative of the communities that we serve, where our staff know that they belong and demonstrate our values, and it's rooted in human rights, so that we deliver the highest standard of service. That's the vision. I believe it's achievable. Are we there yet? No, we're not there yet. And our strategy, our Policing Together strategy, which runs from 2022 to 2026, is only paper with words on it. unless we bring it to life. And that's really what my job is to bring policing together to life in practice, so that being an anti-racist, an anti-discriminatory organisation isn't just something that's known, but it's felt, and it's felt by everyone in and outside our organisation. We have 4 pillars that support that activity: our leadership pillar, our learning pillar, and Steve is an important part of that, our communications pillar, and our communities pillar. And I don't have time today to go into all of the activity that we're doing. I would love to share that with you, and I'm certainly happy to take any questions about the progress that we're making around policing together. But if I speak too long, you don't hear from the real star of the show, which is Dr. Alison Hidari, who I have heard speak personally on a number of occasions as part of my own development to becoming an assistant chief constable. I was on an executive leadership programme, and not just once but twice we heard from Alison around our work on the Race Action Plan, and around her deep rooted academic knowledge and practitioner experience of trust and legitimacy, and why all of this matters. So you're in for a real treat this morning, and I've got my pad and pen at the ready to take more notes. But I was reflecting on actually the purpose of James' Smart lecture, and I was glad to know that despite how old I feel, there were people before me in policing. And as you know, the James Smart lecture is a fund that is designed to commemorate the first Chief Constable of Glasgow. And one of the phrases within what was the purpose of this lecture was about promote the widening and deepening of police thought by means of lectures known as the James Smart lecture. I am in absolutely no doubt that you are going to have the opportunity to have your thought process widened and deepened when you hear from Dr. Hidari. Unbelievable experience. I've been in policing since 2000. Share similar experiences, and negotiator as well, and the bio that you'll have access to will show you and describe Alison's journey. But what I want to personally recognise and also professionally recognise, as an executive, we did our own anti-racist training last week, 2 weeks ago, and one of the things that came across really strongly was the reality that when we look at change, when we look at rights that have been, now are embedded into some of our systems, behind that are people that have the tenacity and the patience and the perseverance and the determination to keep going and to work through irrespective of the challenges. And you're going to hear from Alison this morning, and she is someone I would describe exactly as that, who has demonstrated patience and perseverance and tenacity and drive, because this is not, and still is not, an easy journey that she is on in terms of being director of the Race Action Plan. But the difference that she is making in policing and in the lives of people in the community cannot be underestimated. So on behalf of policing and them, thank you. And I would just like to invite Dr. Hidari up to speak with you this morning.